How you doing, everybody? I thought I'd talk about the coming of Nefertum. Nefer means perfection, good health, prosperity, etc. The perfect person. So Tum or Atum was the first or the perfected male or male god, as they call him. So Nefertum also represents the enduring soul, the soul that lasts forever, composed of both the motherhood and the fatherhood. And one personality, one person. So when we see hear this, it reminds us of people who practice the circumcision and the subincision, which we had discussed earlier on another occasion. And that young boys, when they reach puberty, went through this procedure, and that it is still practiced today in many countries in Africa, Australia, Asia, such as India, and probably some parts of China, and in the South Pacific. So people still practice this subincision and circumcision. Well, we know people practice circumcision right here where we are in the United States. So Atum practiced this procedure on himself. Doing this, he mimics the ancient humans who were themselves androgynous. And when I speak of androgyny, I'm not speaking at all in terms of sexual preference or anything like that. Actually, sex has nothing to do with it, what I'm talking about. When I speak of gender, perhaps, but not coitus. No, I'm not talking about that at all. So Atum then is mimicking the earliest humans, you see, who first lived by instinct and instinct alone. So they come up with the sixth sense, which is like intuition, which we all experience from time to time. So with the coming of Atum and or Nefertum, we see that he acquires the sixth sense, okay? But he also acquires a perfection in terms of reasoning. Which complements the whole deal when it comes to the attainment of knowledge, because this is what the Kemites were about. This is what all those countries were about, who had their priests and their temples and their inner sanctum and all of this. These folks are interested in the acquisition of knowledge. It was like classified data, classified information, like countries that they have their top secrets classified. Well, this acquisition and how to go about the acquisition of knowledge in ancient times was top secret. So we have the secrets of the temple, you know. That was so important to them, these top secrets, you know. Which had to do with the acquisition of knowledge. The acquisition of knowledge was, once acquired, was heaven itself. That was your heaven, you know. With this knowledge, you could avoid difficulties. presumably. And so this is why secrets of the temple was so important. And this is why women were denied access to some of the procedures, the operations, or the rituals that were performed when it came to young man making, because it was this young man who was admitted to the temple who was going to go through these procedures and acquire knowledge, self-knowledge, knowledge from within himself. That's what I'm talking about when I say knowledge. I'm not talking about academic knowledge. That followed. That came right after. This self-knowledge, once that was acquired, the door was open to acquiring academic knowledge and so forth and so on. But anyway, so a tomb provides the procedure or performs the procedure on himself and becomes the perfect God or the perfect man or the first man God who acquired perfection. And the enduring soul while he was at it. So we see now that when the young boys who perform this procedure, whether it's done by the elders of the tribe, whether it's done by them, or however they may proceed with this, they were also, at least symbolically, after the acquisition of knowledge. Now, they say when a young boy reaches the age 13, presumably after the procedure is done, they say that the Spirit of God descends upon him, like the dove descends upon a spiritualized person, I presume. So this Spirit of God then must be reasoning, because when a boy reaches the age of 13, then his reasoning powers are pretty much set in at that time. Okay, it's up to him to make perfect these reasoning powers by combining them or using the instincts, the 5+1, the sixth sense, as a foundation for the knowledge to be acquired. Women under the patriarchy were denied access to these rituals and so forth and so on. Access to the temple when or where these rituals were performed. This is what happened under the patriarchy. So now that we see that the young boy now is in position to use his reasoning based on the 5+1 senses, or the six senses. We also refer to him as Ma'akaru. Ma'akaru, meaning true of word. Rama means truth, M-A means truth, the law, etc. And then we have the word, Karu. But the word is a word of power. The word is sounds without verbal meaning. So the young boy at this point in time, he begins to be taught these things, these words. which will prepare him for his future life as a man, whether in the tribe or here in society or wherever. But it is important, I think, for women to understand these, because what's going on with this coming of a tomb or Nefertum, because this tells us, the coming of Nefertum tells us that women at one time possess this knowledge. They possess something that men didn't possess when it came to gaining knowledge. But when certain things are not in use, they become lost from lack of use. You see, which contributed in the keeping down the oppression of the matriarchy. So women need to go beyond, I would say, beyond instinct and intuition alone. Intuition is important, you know, but we got to go beyond intuition, use intuition, but move on with it. Let's use it as more of a foundation and a platform for the reasoning process. This will help bring out in the woman something that has been suppressed in her for hundreds of thousands of years. And when she comes out with this, she's got to know it. You know, you got to realize what's happening. As sometimes a person experiences intuition and really not aware of what's going on. He's so busy doing other things, you see. So that's the becoming of Nefertum. It's actually the acquisition of knowledge through the six, or the 5 plus 1, the sixth sense, and reasoning, the power of reasoning used with it. Without this foundation provided by the sixth sense, or a foundation provided by intuition, reasoning just is like a leaf on the wind. It's really not founded. It's got to be founded in what we'll call knowledge, if we are able to call intuition at least a spark of knowledge, then yeah, we must base reasoning on it. And another important factor is not to be controlled by passion or emotions. You got to not only do, but you got to, you got to do based on knowledge. You don't want to feel your way through, you want to know your way through. And that takes knowledge. Okay. Have a good day and subscribe.